Okay, guys, so we're going to pick up where we left off on the last one. Again, talking about the male reproductive system. So we're going to start off with this idea of spermatozoon or spermazoa. And the idea here is that these are essentially what is produced right before it is secreted from your body, from the male body. Okay, so it's undergoing a ripening. The idea here is that it's not exactly sperm, it's the pre-sperm, I guess is the best way to put it. It's the gametes that are made before they've been, perfectly put together to be able to um, become sperm and enter into the vagina. Okay, and that comes through this idea of capacitation. Okay, and it's just a process that allows for it to become a little bit more mature, and then um, be able to go ahead and be introduced into the vagina and make a baby. Okay, so a spermatozoon is just essentially a singular version of this, and it's going to have three different parts: a head, middle piece, and tail. So this is going to be covered by the head's going to be kind of like covered essentially by, like, I guess you can call it like sort of like a capsule, which is called the acrosome, which has splitting enzymes that are released during capacitation. Okay. The middle piece has got mitochondria that are arranged end to end around a core. And then the tail is divided into, like, principal and then like little shorter pieces that come off of it to allow it to move. Okay. So when it comes down to it, our structure is going to be developed first and within our sperm cells, or sorry, spermatogenesis cells within our testes, okay, which occurs within the semiferious tubules. Then go ahead through the epididymis and go into the vas deferens, okay. And essentially, what happens here is that the structure, we have these things called spermatids, spermatocytes, um, and essentially, what those structures, they go ahead and allow for us to be able to make a mature sperm cell within these structures. That is kind of, this is just the picture essentially of a spermatid cell within a within a semifrenuous tubule. Okay, and this is just what a typical sperm cell looks like. We've got our acrosome. This is our head area, middle area, and tail. Okay, head, middle, tail. See it again. So our nucleus, which contains all of our DNA, our centrioles, which are essential for cell division, our mitochondria, and our tail. Okay. So the epididymis, again, this is just going to be located right next to the testes, and it's just a little tube. It's essentially like an enclosed casing. Again, it's just basically a duct through which the sperm passes to get to the vas deferens. Okay. In addition, they secrete a small part of the seminal fluid, but it's not something super noticeable. Again, the vas deferens, this is going to be the extension of the epididymis, and it's kind of the terminal portion that goes right through um, up until we get to the point where it can come out through the penis. And it's just that's all it really does. It's just kind of that. Whenever we look at this is the one duct that connects the epididymis to the ejaculatory duct. And if you ever have a vasectomy, this is where they are going to go ahead and snip. Okay, they're going to go ahead and make a man sterile through here. Okay, so now we're going to talk about our prostate area. So obviously we have the vas deferens within there, but we also have our bladder, our urethra, our seminal vessel. We've got our ejaculatory duct and our posterior surface of the prostate. So ejaculatory duct is going to be passes through the prostate gland and is terminated in the urethra. Now, the urethra for a male serves both functions of being able to allow for reproduction. So essentially, allow for sperm to come out through ejaculation, and allow for us to also have a urine go through the urinary system and allow for us to pee. Okay. Now, seminal vesicles, these are basically ones that allow for these creamy yellow liquids to serve as like essentially the semen area, and it's the energy source for sperm and allows for sperm to move. Okay, because it's got this fructose, it's like, really, really like that's why it looks so like sticky and all that kind of stuff. Is because of the fact that you have this fructose that goes along with it. Okay. And they're again very, very short. But the idea is they're right along the bladder, and they're going to miss in with the seminal vesicles. They'll miss in the ejaculatory duct, um, and allow for the ejaculation to occur. So within your prostate gland, this is going to be encircles the urethra and it's just below the bladder. The idea here is it's adds slightly acidic, watery, milky-looking secretion to the seminal fluid. The idea here is that this is a nutrient for sperm. It allows for this creating of citrate, which is the nutrients for sperm. The bulbourethral glands, if I can speak, but I can't. Again, these are going to be long ducts that will lead around the urethra. And again, they're going to make sure that they're going to have this alkaline fluid that counteracts the acid in the male urethra. Because remember, most of the time, whenever you have your urine that comes out, it's going to be slightly acidic. So therefore, that's going to not be good because we want to make sure that if they have essentially two things that are coming out of the same area, you don't want that acidity to go into the female vagina. So therefore, you're going to have this alkaline fluid that's going to go in with it to kind of counteract and give a neutral pH going into the female vagina. Okay, the scrotum. So this is a skin-covered pouch that's surrounded around the perineal region. It's got two sacs. Okay, and essentially what it does is it creates essentially a area for the testes to be able to be what we call the scrotal pouch and the elongated pouch. Essentially, what that is it allows for the testes to be protected, and that's all that they really major function of the scrotum is. Now, the penis is essentially it's composed of three cylindrical masses of erectile tissues. One of them contains the urethra. These are the two larger masses, so the corpus cavernosa and the corpus spongiosum is the smaller mass. And the function, it's just basically allows for the areas for our urethra to come out to allow for both the urinary and reproductive tracts to exit the body. Um, and during sexual arousal, it becomes a little bit more erect. So therefore, it's the penetrating organ during sexual intercourse. Okay, and here you go with the corpus cavernosum, corpus spongiosum again, and then you have the urethra that goes down the middle. Okay. Okay, spermatid close cords. These are just located around the canals between the scrotum and the abdominal cavity. And again, they just enclose a lot of blood vessels, the vas deferens. You get some lymphatic stuff that's coming down their nerves, all of the above. Okay, so whenever we talk about the seminal fluid, it's going to have a lot of different secretions, not just from the testes, which that's where the sperm comes from, but also from the epididymis, seminal vesicles, prostate glands, and the bulbourethral glands. And the idea here is that each milliliter of this contains a lot of sperm, millions of it. And the idea is it passes from the testes through the epididymis, vas deferens, ejaculatory duct, and urethra. The idea here is that in the ejaculatory duct, everything gets mixed together and then is just ejected out of the urethra. Okay, so you've got everything adding up together through the epididymis and vas deferens, and then by the time it reaches the ejaculatory duct, it's all going to kind of mix in together. We're going to be collecting stuff beforehand, and now we're going to be able to make the seminal fluid, essentially the semen, and then ejaculate out once we've had all of our sperm. Okay. So when it comes to male fertility, there's a lot of different things that can be an effect to that. Again, number of sperm, size and shape. If you have motility of sperm, every single sperm is going to be a little bit different, and that can cause issues. It can cause, so there's a couple of different ways that you can get infertility. But the major one is going to be caused by antibodies that some men makes against their own sperm. So essentially, you're like allergic to your own sperm. It's the best way to put it, and therefore the sperm is not created, and therefore it's created and destroyed before it can ever actually be ejaculated from the body. Now, male fertility usually begins at puberty and it's going to extend into their old age. It's not like women where you only have so many eggs. Males will make sperm up until their dying day. Okay. And like I said, so this is going to be just the idea here. Once you reach puberty, you're going to be making sperm production. Again, it'll drop off as you get older, but you'll still be making a decent amount of sperm. Okay, so remember we have some disorders. These are just some examples. Infertility and sterility. So sometimes you can be sterile. You can have oligospermia. These are just going to be disorders of the testes. You have disorders of the penis and the scrotum. Okay, so another issue could be the descendant of the testes. Um, and that means that basically the testes are a little bit further down into your scrotum than they should be. The scrotum is just supposed to essentially act as a area to protect the idea, um, area to protect the testes, but this can cause issues down the line. Okay? Okay. Any questions, please let me know. Um, like I said, uh, if you have any questions, please let me know and just send me an email. Okay?